Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
And my name's James, aka FBL Drive.
Good to see you again, mate. Quick turnaround.
Yeah, it's not been long, has it? But obviously that means there's been a lot of football.
There has, yeah. To be fair, it's quite nice seeing all the games played in the space of 2 days. It felt like it was back to a little bit of normality. So fingers crossed for next season.
I hope so.
Right, well, lots to cover. We're going to obviously look at this game week, and then we might even have a sneak look at game week 28. 28, fuck me. Game week 38. It's come around quite quickly, and it's going to be the end of the season. Sad times, but we're going to carry on podding through the summer, so lots to look forward to. But let's get straight to it. And first things first, mate. It was Man United 1, Fulham 1.
Yeah, the bit of a shock for people, this one. We all kind of expected a dominant Man United performance. A lot of us obviously captaining Bruno Fernandes, who obviously got that questionable assist. Much debate on Twitter.
Very questionable. I mean, come on, it's not an assist. Even as a Bruno captainer, I said it's not an assist. VAR have fucked up, and there's been actually quite a few occasions in this game week where they've fucked up. And basically what FPL have done is they've turned around and gone, well, if VAR have given that, then we kind of got to cover our back. So, yeah, if Bruno can get the assist, here you go.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sour one for non-owners. I think I was on the end of one as a non-owner earlier in the season when he got one of these bullshit assists, but yeah. Nice to be on the other
for
side.
Sure, but in fairness, it was nice to see Cavani's goal stand, because what a goal it was.
Oh, sensational goal. To have the vision, obviously seeing the keeper off his line and then to execute it, it was class. I'm sure the fans will be glad he's staying on for another couple of years.
Oh, absolutely, and obviously to do that in front of the crowd as well. Like this week's the first week that we've been allowed fans back since the brief periods back in late 2020. So it's been a long time coming, and yeah, I bet the fans were absolutely buzzing to watch Cavani hit that.
Oh yeah, they were. It's been so great to have the fans back. Just hearing the roar, just so much better than the artificial crowd noise. Just to have them back. There's no guy pressing the wrong button. If it takes a shot and it goes out for a corner or whatever.
I know, yeah. I never thought I'd miss it, but yeah, to hear them like actively shout for fouls and to kind of get right behind a team, you don't get that even with the fake crowd noise. So
no,
to hear like the live action noise from a crowd, it was brilliant to watch.
Exactly. Like, I don't think you can capture how incensed people get with the bad decisions, like like in the FA Cup final. Like, people were like, the atmosphere is just amazing. You can't recreate that.
No, not at all. But obviously, like you said, a surprising result, and Joe Bryan got the equaliser for Fulham, wiping out quite a few clean sheets once again. As a Luke Shaw owner, I feel like I've been completely fucked. Constantly creates chances, likelihood of clean sheet, often quite maxed, and once again gets booked, concedes, gets a 1-pointer. It's been so frustrating.
Yeah, very disappointing for me. Also a Luke Shaw owner. Had he kept the clean sheet and not got booked, you'd be on for potentially bonus as well, sort of a 9-pointer. But hey ho, we can't control it.
I know. It's just ever since I brought him in, it's just been a sea of 2s and 1s with like the 8 thrown in with the clean sheet once. But other than that, it's just he's been a nightmare transfer, and I never expected it.
Same.
Right. The only other thing with Man United that a lot of us are on double and triple United at the moment, obviously after the triple game week. Are you at all worried about heavy rotation on Sunday, given that they then play the Europa League final on Wednesday?
A little bit, yeah. If we're going to see the same sort of team that got put out against Leicester, then it's not going to be good for us, is it?
No, not at all. And I've got one free transfer this week, but I genuinely don't have a clue what to do about it. And we'll come on to that later. But yeah, I'm sitting with Bruno, Greenwood, and Luke Shaw. And I don't know whether to risk taking one out or whether Ollie won't do that. And, they'll maybe give them 60 minutes and then take them off. But
how's your bench?
The bench is looking at. I mean, the bench bench fucked me this week, so we'll talk about that. But I think the bench will be relatively strong again. Like there's cover there, but I don't expect the cover to be scoring the points that they did this week. So, say if Bruno and Greenwood misses out, I don't expect the likes of Target, Godfrey to get anything in the fixtures that they're playing.
Yeah, I've got a shit bench as well, so it's a bit of a
Mm.
concern for me. I've got like Ward against Liverpool. I've
Mm.
got Vidra, who was benched the last game, but it's a good fixture against Sheffield United.
Yeah, I
If he
expect Vidra should start, to be
if
honest.
he, well, I hope so. Maybe I think like they played just sort of a more defensive formation because it was Liverpool.
Yeah,
Obviously Sheffield United, they'll be expecting to try and take the game to them.
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, maybe I'll have cover for say if Shaw misses out. Maybe Bruno will play both. I hope he plays both.
Yeah, it's a guessing game. I'm hoping that we maybe get some, press conference news or whatever, and Ollie might give us a slight steer, but I very much doubt it. Right, moving on then, and disappointing result and a disappointing game to watch after the chances created. It was Southampton 0, Leeds 2.
Yeah, disappointing performance for us. Good performance from Bamford. It could have been even more.
Should have been
Obviously, he stayed on his feet for that challenge where he gets sort of wiped out by McCarthy. That's got to be a pen.
clear
Like,
pen. I
irrespective
mean,
of him
yeah,
going down, he impedes him.
completely agree, and it does make you, it clearly indicates why players feel the need to go down sometimes to win a pen because he's clearly impeded by McCarthy. He tries to stay on his feet, a little bit naive maybe, but Bamford's an honest player and he seems like quite a nice guy. But obviously, when he wasn't given the penalty, you can quite clearly see him saying to the referee at the end, "So I need to dive. Like, you want me to fucking dive?" And had he gone down, Stonewall pen, like straight away. So I think it really needs to be looked at. And VAR should surely be picking up on that because it is still a foul. Like he's been impeded, he can't get to the ball. And even as a Saints fan, I was astounded that that wasn't given as a penalty.
Yeah, no, I was really surprised. Like, you just kind of your heart sinks. You think, right, there you go, that's the pen, and then you're like, what? Okay, no. But yeah, that's just it's a shame because he's obviously had the integrity to stay on his feet, and then he
Yeah,
gets sort of punished for it.
exactly. And he punished a lot of us owners and sellers as well. Like I personally benched Bamford stupidly. I mean, I've learned a lesson there. Always play the attacker. But I just thought, obviously with the rotation and the minutes that he was kind of getting on the pitch, I didn't think, and I ended up, making a move, playing Greenwood, and then putting Bamford first on the bench, and yeah, fucked me right up. But goal, assist, 3 bonus points. Frustrating because Rafinha could have had a haul as well, and obviously didn't return, so that was disappointing. And I guess one of the big talking points was the fact that Meslier was benched this week, and I believe we've also been told that he won't be playing in game week 38 either. And Casilla plays, which is surprising. And I know a lot of Leeds fans don't like him because he's a racist and it's caused a lot of trouble within the club. So the fact that Bielsa's given him the last 2 games of the season, a little bit strange, but yeah, frustrating at the same time because as Leeds have proven, I think they had probably one of the best defensive runs for the final 3 games of the game week. If you've gambled on bringing in Meslier, then yeah, you've been ballsed up by that one.
Yeah, well, yeah, I obviously was one of those people that brought Meslier in a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's frustrating because obviously I have Forster as my second keeper, who, as we know, didn't play this week.
yeah,
But I fully expected Meslier to play, so
most
it
of
was
us
a
did.
tough one for me to take, and I've got to now rely on Forster coming back into the fold next week,
I
which he should
expect he
do
will.
based
Yeah,
on what Hasenhüttl said. But
you never know.
it wouldn't surprise me to
No,
see McCarthy start again, and then for me to have another week with
I
10
know.
men or
There's
no
been
goal.
there's been so much goalkeeper rotation. Like obviously we'll come on to it, but yeah, like Patricio missed out this week. Fabianski was injured in the warm up. You've now got Dubravka's, picked up a knock. Darlow potentially plays in the week. It's been a nightmare for any
Chaos.
goalkeeper. Yeah, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, girlfriend had Meslier and Patricia on the bench.
Ooh.
I was like, oh, you get Patricia off the bench. Oh, that'd be good. And then obviously Ruddy starts.
Yeah, nightmare,
Oh,
absolute
dear.
nightmare. But no, I think Leeds finishing the season well, and obviously with the fixture coming up, fully expect them to turn West Brom over. Personally, at home in front of the home crowd, I think they'll do very well, and I certainly won't be benching Bamford this week.
No, they've been excellent and second in the form table,
Yeah,
which is worth mentioning.
I know,
They
and
Bielsa
obviously
gets a lot of criticism for dropping off at the end of a season,
he
and
does exactly.
done the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. They've smashed it, and no, fair play to them. They're a really, really enjoyable team to watch. Right, moving on there to the third game, and what a shock this was. It was Brighton 3, Man City 2.
Well, it had a bit of everything this game. Obviously, a Cancelo red, a Dan Burn goal, which I didn't see coming. I think he literally needed his massive legs to score that goal. I don't think any other player would have been able to scoop that in.
It is one of the funniest goals I've seen in a long time. Like, he gets into the box, and he almost suddenly realizes he's in the box and gets jelly legs. And he's like, oh my God, oh my God. And then obviously, like, scuffs the first shot, rebounds back to him, and yeah, basically falls on his arse and like flicks it in. It was fucking hilarious.
It's like watching a daddy longlegs try and score a goal.
I think it was genuinely. And I mean, what a game for the Brighton crowd to see at home at the Amex.
Yeah, and a win. And I don't think any of them would have been expecting that. They'd have just been happy to stay in the game, not get
Yeah.
thumped, and fair play to them. They took the
No.
game. Trossard was really impressive.
He took his goal incredibly well, didn't he?
He did, and he was not scared to take on any of the City players throughout the game. Really, I don't think a lot of teams show too much respect to City, but I don't think Brighton did in this game, and
No.
they've come away with the points.
Yeah. What is your opinion on the red card?
Remind me of it. I've forgotten what actually happened.
See, you've got Welbeck's through on goal, or ball over the top. You've got Cancelo and Welbeck through. And then they kind of link arms a little bit. Welbeck goes down, and then he's given a red for denying a goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with it. To be honest, I thought he prevented a goal scoring opportunity. I think he was clear through, and I think he'd have finished it.
I'm slightly on the other side. I think it's harsh. I can see why it's been given, but they link arms for a second, and I also think Welbeck kind of instigates the link at the same time. So it's naive from Cancelo, like it's poor defending. He misses, the touch when the ball's over the top and whatnot, and I can see why the ref's given it, but I have seen a lot worse this season not given. So I think it was unfortunate, but yeah, it changed the game. Obviously Torres got hooked, which, for all those people that were punting on him for this week after his hat trick last week, incredibly unfortunate. And for a period of time, it worked for Man City. Obviously, they went 2-0 up. Gundogan got a very early goal, and then Foden got a brilliant solo effort. But yeah, Brighton just grew into the game in the second half, and then ended up with a win. And what an adrenaline rush for those fans walking home. Right, moving on then, and what effectively was a massive game in the Champions League race, and it's left it still wide open, but very much Chelsea in pole position to claim it. It was Chelsea 2, Leicester 1.
Yeah, a bit of a knockback for Leicester. And what I don't really understand is Brendan Rodgers benching Iheanacho after the sort of form he's been on recently. Bit of a strange decision.
Completely agree. I mean, seeing obviously Perez, Maddison both playing, both were largely ineffective in the game. Maddison then got hooked, and I don't think Perez was great. And Iheanacho obviously comes on, scores a goal. But yeah, like you said, he's been so clinical this season, and out of nothing, he can make a chance, score a goal. And even this, it was on the turn, and he puts it bottom corner. And you have to question why you would bench a man in such great form. I know that they've had game after game after game, but there's 2 games after the season, and this is the biggest game, arguably, other than obviously the League Cup final. No, yeah, the FA Cup final. But you have to start him.
Yeah, no, exactly. Bit of a roller coaster for the owners that held him throughout the blank, because obviously you'd see him benched and your heart would sink a little bit, but
Yeah,
still did the business off the
yeah,
bench.
absolutely. And again, we hate talking about it, but VAR controversy again, because for initially Chelsea were denied, what in my opinion, a clear penalty. Werner gets taken out in the box. The defender goes through him, obviously trying to get the ball, but the defender ends up taking Werner's leg. No idea how that's not given as a penalty. It's barely even checked, and the game moves on. And arguably, I think that was more of a penalty than the one that was given.
Yeah, well, I guess it's something that needs to be done about this. I don't know whether it's like a secondary team review the team. Obviously, that could take longer, but you'd think that when you have like the general kind of football community agreeing, that qualified professionals in the room would agree to.
Yeah. Well, and it reminded me of a very similar incident when Bertrand did a very similar thing, took a player out whilst trying to clear the ball, and a penalty was given against us. So why in this incident, Werner's quite clearly taken out, goes down, and then it's not given. I didn't understand it at all. But Werner's a funny one, because obviously he ended up getting the assist, won the second penalty. Fair play to him. But he keeps scoring goals from offside positions. Like
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. He had 2 goals. You could see the delight in his face twice, and he's offside on both occasions.
yeah, it's painful for him. Whether it's hitting the woodwork, just being wide, being offside, it's just not his season. But I guess he'll go again next season.
Yeah,
Presumably he'll start, but yeah, you got to feel for him.
I know. I got sent a text earlier, and I mean I haven't checked the data myself, so it might be slightly incorrect, but I'll read you what it says. It basically says that Werner's obviously scored 12 goals this season. Um, he's actually scored No, he scored 6 this season, but it would have been 18, I think, because he'd had 12 goals ruled out for offside.
Man needs to get on side.
Yeah, tell me about it. And it's consistent. You see it all the time. He's always on the edge of the offside, but it's always half a meter too early is what he's going. And if he can work on that, and over the summer, like really look at the data and the imaging, and if Tuchel can find a way of him holding his run a little bit, because he's got the pace to get him behind, it's proven, then he could be such a goal scorer. But yeah, time and time again this season, we've all been frustrated at one point with owning Timo Werner.
Yeah, it's not like he's slow as well. Like
No.
he could just be a couple of yards
Yeah.
back, still make up the ground.
He
So
could give any player a run for the money. Um, I think that the most hilarious part of this game was the incident towards the end, when there was almost a ruckus between all 22 players on the pitch, plus the benches were getting involved, and the staff on the side, all because of a challenge that happened on the touchline. And then funnily enough, what was it? Armarty is on the bench, and doesn't get a single minute, but got himself booked for partaking in it. And you sent me obviously that image, which just reminded me. Is he still sat on your bench?
he's last on my bench. Merely there because he's cheap. But I checked this point. I was like, -1. I'm like, he never normally plays. Click on it, it's the yellow.
It was funny. It was a real funny moment to watch, but it just showed the tension in the game. To be fair, like so much was riding on it, and Chelsea came away as victorious. So, moving on to Wednesday's games, and obviously we had 6 games on Wednesday, so it was again a great day of football. It did mean, however, that you had to kind of select which one you were watching, with 3 on at the same time, to start with, and then moving from there. But first things first, and albeit probably predictable, it was Everton 1, Wolves 0.
Yeah, I own Connor Cody. Not specifically for this game. I mean, I've wanted to get rid of him for quite some time. I think he might be my game week 38 final transfer. I didn't expect a clean sheet, and I didn't get one. Wolves were very poor in this game. Going forward, just look a little bit lost, to be honest. Obviously, Jimenez has been a big loss for them, and the news has been sort of announced that he should be back for next season. He'll have like a protective headgear, but he'll be back. I don't know whether he'll naturally kind of not go for as many headers because he was quite good in the air.
He was, yeah. I guess it's going to be all on the mind, and it's all well and good. They can do training sessions, they can do 11v11 and training and whatnot, but it's not quite the same as that game environment, obviously with fans, hopefully in the stadium and whatnot. And yeah, it'll be that first header that he goes up for, where it'll be in the nerves. And I guess it's the same, we've both experienced it with like knee injuries and whatnot. That first game that you're back, do you really want to make the tackle? Because you're worried in the back of your mind, is it quite healed yet? And once you've made it, you don't think about it again. So hopefully, once he's made that first header, he'll be fine. But yeah, it's obviously a difficult process, and he's a professional at the end of the day. So fingers crossed they've got the people there that will ease his mindset and whatnot.
Yeah, I hope so. Another benching for Mason Holgate.
I know, yeah, that again.
Nailed.
Yeah, took me by surprise. Ellie was absolutely fuming again, which just made me chuckle. But yeah, Everton just seem to have been rotating a few players recently. Defensively, I guess there isn't a lot for them to play for this season. But one player that particularly impressed this time round and brilliant goal was Richarlison. Really good headed goal.
Yeah, he's been decent this season. Obviously, Siggy setting him up as well.
Yep.
I've got him in Sky. I'm glad he's done something. That's just my team one where I take the kind of random punts and bring in people that no one else has.
Yeah. Got you the assist.
But yeah, no, a good win for Everton, and it'd be interesting to see how they sort of approach next season.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big season for them because Everton, with the team that they've got and with Ancelotti at the helm, I think they'll be expected to at least get Europa. And I mean, they should have been challenging for it this season, but they had that run where they just weren't picking up points. And obviously at home, generally, they've been pretty poor this season. Thankfully, with the crowd, they managed to, get the 1-0 win against Wolves, but it's just not been good enough. Right, moving on then to a game in which you brought in the goal scorer, mate. It was Newcastle 1, Sheffield United 0.
Yeah, I was one of the few people to choose to actually watch this game, mainly just because of Willock is the reason I watched this game. Nice. And a great header from Willock.
Yeah, very much so.
What form he is on. He has been on fire. He scored in what?
6 goals in the last 8 games.
Yeah, and like three of those 6 games, he's been off the bench as a substitute. He had 11 minutes in one game, 10 in another, 26 in another. He's been clinical. Steve Bruce has to play him now. I think he'll play next week. He did. I think he got a bit of cramp or just
understandable.
So yeah, he's just a bit tired, but he should be ready to go for. I think it's Fulham the last game.
I believe so. Yeah, Newcastle, Fulham. So a big game, to be fair. And the tricky thing will be with Willock being in such good form. Will Arsenal take him back for next season? I can't see him going out on loan again.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Newcastle might have been able to sign him if he didn't do as well as he's actually done.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you're Mikel Arteta, you're going to be at least thinking he could do a job for them. I think he's
a good player.
Yeah, I'd say he's up there on a par with maybe even Saka.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got the likes of Saka there, Odegaard. I'd say even the likes of Pepe and stuff. Willock could arguably, give them a challenge and a run for their position in the squad and the form that he's in. And obviously, if he's getting the goals that he's getting with the chances that Newcastle create, if Arsenal can sort their shit out, then they should be creating a lot more chances that Willock could potentially be on the end of.
Definitely. I mean, he's scored a damn sight more goals than Willian has this season. So give him a go.
It's not hard, is it? It's not hard. And obviously, again, goalkeeper wise, talking point was the fact that Dubravka seemed to pick up a knock, so may well not even feature on Sunday against Fulham. So those with Dubravka, keep an eye obviously for any press conference news, but it might be that Carl Darlow is back in goal at the weekend. Right, another shock, but is it really surprising? It was Spurs 1, Aston Villa 2.
Now, it might be a bit late for me to think this, but I think my Spurs double up isn't a good thing. Son and Kane.
It's not been great recently, has it?
Yeah, no, it hasn't. I mean, Son, in fairness to him, has been okay recently. But as a package, I don't think you need both in the way Spurs are playing anyway for the last sort of half of the season. Really, they've been quite disappointing. Obviously, it's clear that Kane needs to go to progress his career. Like he is an elite striker, and he deserves to be at a Real Madrid, a Man United, a Man City, a top club. And Tottenham, as much as they might sometimes think it and charge 60 quid a ticket, they aren't a top club.
Mate, we could do a whole rant podcast about the clubs that have been charging over the top in these final home games and whatnot.
Joke, 60 quid for final
Given the
game.
shit that we've had to put up as fans, and obviously the fact that 6 of these clubs wanted to break away, you'd have expected a little bit of give from the clubs. And I mean, come on, look at Burnley. Like, round of applause. They gave free tickets to all 3,500 of their the fans that got in. It was free, and that's at home against Liverpool. And yet Spurs are charging 60 quid, sitting them in the upper tier of the stadium, so they're not even at ground level. You couldn't even see them, like they were up high. And yeah, they gave some free food, which listening to Planet FPL, James kind of tried to make the most of, and I think a lot of people were. You could basically get what you wanted as much as you wanted, but that's not 60 quid's worth. And then you see at the end of the game, obviously, that they've announced, yeah, like, please stay in your seats, for the round of applause. The only player that came out was Harry Kane. Like, all the other players stayed away, and then half an hour later, they get the tannoy basically telling them thanks and to all go home. Like, that's not the respect that you deserve from the players. You've spent 60 quid to go and watch this shit and watch your team get beat by Aston Villa, basically throw away their chance of getting Europa League next season, and to turn around and disrespect the fans like that, I think it's not on.
No, agreed. It's a joke. Surprising that only one player, actually, the one who, if anything, is going to be off, is
exactly.
the one doing the report.
Tell me about it. And I mean, yeah, there's all sorts of talk about Harry Kane, but I think this is the most that we've heard. Obviously, he's slowly coming out and putting his opinion out there, saying that he really wants to be challenging for trophies and whatnot. But I can definitely see movement in the summer, and Spurs will probably have to cash in. They might not want to, but I think they'll have to. But back to the game, I guess it was a good start from Spurs. To be fair, Bergwijn took his goal brilliantly well, absolutely smashed it in, and then from then Spurs just kind of fell apart. Starting with Reguilon's beautiful own goal. I mean, what a slice! But top corner, top bins, stunning.
Yeah, quite a comical one. That reminds me almost of the Sunderland one that was against us. I think it was Virginie who scored the own goal. Absolutely twatted it in his own goal.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, no, credit to Villa. Obviously, Jack Grealish is back.
Start, yeah.
He's made a difference. Maybe not in the goals and assists, but in terms of the team performance of Villa, they've obviously got the win away at Spurs, which is impressive. They've definitely missed him.
Oh, they have 100%. And I mean, I still don't think he'll be there next season, but at least he's getting a couple of games, to start before the end. And Ollie Watkins, still trying to put his foot on that plane for the Euros. Once again, popping up with a goal, and it was a good finish.
Yeah, very good finish. I'd take him. I think.
Yeah, I think he deserves a chance.
He's a great finisher. He's doing well. It's going to be interesting to see that team that Southgate puts out. And no doubt we'll talk about the Euros at some point in the summer,
Yeah,
but
agreed.
be interesting.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, 26-man squad. I fully expect Watkins to be there, and I expect Grealish will be too. Right, moving on then. And what was Roy Hodgson's final game in charge of Crystal Palace, and probably final game that we'll ever get to see him manage a team in the Premier League. It was not the way he wanted to end it. It was Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 3.
No, I was a bit sad for Roy, actually, when Martinelli sort of stabbed that one in. But I felt for him
First minute. Oh.
Yeah, it was 1-1, and I thought, oh, that'd be a decent result for him to end on. But Martinelli had other plans. And another good performance for him. He seems to be doing well. Obviously, he's a young Brazilian striker. Could be interesting to see how Aubameyang gets on next season, whether they're going to start him from the beginning. I imagine they will.
You'd expect so. They've got to improve somehow.
Hopefully he'll have a good pre-season for him, and maybe we'll be it'd be interesting to see how much he's priced.
Yeah.
And whether he'll still be a midfielder, maybe.
I think he'll still be a midfielder, but I don't think he'll be priced as highly as he is.
I reckon 10 million.
Yeah, there or thereabouts. Pepe, your favourite player?
Yeah, ran to the camera again, the fucking dick.
He loves it.
A game against Palace that barely means anything.
He absolutely loves it. But he got himself 2 goals, to be fair. Obviously got the first, and then got that 95th minute, goal to kind of cement the 3-1 win. But I guess big talking point for Palace, and I mean it doesn't just affect this season, but it looks like it could potentially affect the start of next season. Is Eze picking up a quite bad Achilles injury in training, and from early mumblings, it sounds like he's going to miss the start of next season.
Yeah, that's a big shame, because he'd been having a great season, and for the new man, he'd have wanted to have had Eze at the sort of start of the core of his plans. So it's going to be tough for the new man, whoever he is that comes in.
Agreed, yeah. And I mean, it's quite a rebuild to do at Crystal Palace, because we've spoken about it before, but there's so many players that were in that squad yesterday that aren't going to be at Crystal Palace next season, unless they sign extensions in the summer, which at the moment seems unlikely. But a new man might come in and instantly say, look, we're not losing Benteke, we're not losing Townsend, I want them to stay. But yeah, I'm quite keen to see one who comes in to manage Crystal Palace. I know there's been mumblings about Frank Lampard and whatnot, but I don't think he'd be right for Palace. I think you potentially need someone like Eddie Howe, whatnot, that are good with clubs in the lower half of the table, but to maybe try and inspire the players a little bit more, maybe find a way of bringing in players that he wants, and kind of put them that way. And just look at Brighton, for instance. Obviously, they took a punt on Graham Potter, and albeit positionally they aren't where they want to be, but the football is a lot better at Brighton, and the fans are enjoying what they're seeing. And I think Crystal Palace could be a very similar club with the right man in charge.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who they go for. I wouldn't mind seeing Lampard in charge of them. I think obviously did okay at Derby, and he did okay with what he had at Chelsea. Obviously, he was limited in terms of transfer, so it'd be interesting to see with like a X amount of million to spend how he does at Palace if he was to get the job.
Yeah, I think bookies at the moment, there's 3 or 4 names being banded around, so we'll have to see what way. I think it's Steve Parish, obviously. Steve Parish goes, so one to keep an eye on for those Palace fans. Right, second last game of the game week, and what was a crucial game for Liverpool. They had to win, and they did comfortably. It was Burnley 0, Liverpool 3.
Yep, the result went very much as expected. However, the players featuring in the sort of goals and assists, not so much. I expected a damn sight more from Mo Salah. And thankfully, I guess I was kind of relieved as a person that didn't captain him, because any return from him would have actually been negative to me in terms of effective ownership, i.e. more people have captained him than I own him or whatever.
Yeah. It was frustrating. I captained him in Sky. I saw the lineup for obviously Spurs, Aston Villa, and then I saw that Bale wasn't starting for Spurs and that Grealish was starting for Aston Villa. And I changed my mind. I went from Kane to Salah thinking, yeah, I could have this. And I mean, Liverpool had 20 shots in the game, only had 3 on target and obviously scored with all 3. So wasteful, but then obviously clinical at the same time with the 3 that they did get on target. But like you said, yeah, it was players that I guess are the opposite to what people wanted. So it was Robbo and Mane that obviously got the assists. People would have expected maybe Trent, Salah in there. And yeah, you had Bobby Firmino, Oxlade-Chamberlain came in. Brilliant strike, to be fair. And Nat Phillips got himself a goal and what was a 13-pointer?
Outrageous.
Yeah, in both FPL and Sky, I've seen quite a lot of people punting on him. And shout out, I mean, if you're listening, Jazzy, that plays Sky, she had the quadruple of Liverpool defence this week for the two games in Sky Week. She got Allison, Phillips, um, Robbo, and Trent, I believe, and all 4 of them have attacking returns, which is crazy.
Oh, sensational. Obviously, Allison in particular. But yeah, credit to her. That's a great decision. I think I saw that. Take a treat.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And then I guess with Liverpool, they've got a huge game at Anfield this weekend. Obviously, at home makes all the difference, I think. And yes, it's in their hands, which is incredible, given where they have been this season. That last-minute winner from Alisson against West Brom is basically potentially cemented them Champions League football, which massive. But yeah, obviously going into that game, I'm fully expecting what will be a tired Crystal Palace team, and injuries have hit Palace as we've spoken about. I think Liverpool are potentially going to run riot at home.
I think they'll definitely win. And potentially, obviously, they're going to pick a strong team. So, Palace without Eze, I think, I expect them to win. And I'm glad I own Salah for that final game.
About it. And then finally, what was after Sam Allardyce? At the end of the game, there was a statement released saying that he's going to be leaving West Brom. Surprise, surprise. It was West Brom 1, West Ham 3.
Yeah, and I think he came out and said he's a short-term manager. I don't know if he was sort of saying it in a bit tongue-in-cheek, sort of saying like people dub him as a short-term manager, but he's more than that.
Eventually they got there in the interview that he came out and said, well, you guys, the media, you dub me as that, so I am that man.
Yeah, I think he feels underappreciated in terms of like football management. I remember him saying that like if his surname was Allardycinio, he'd be lauded as one of the best managers in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's obviously not done the job this time round. First time getting relegated as a manager, and that man Pereira, obviously the guy that's performing time and time again. What a differential punt if anyone went for him.
Fed up of talking about Pereira in
every week,
not punting on him like 6-7 weeks ago. It's madness. But yes, scoring direct from a corner this time. See, Souček got a flick on, but for argument's sake, it looks like it was going in, and that's what they counted it as. So yeah, I think without that flick, keeper probably saves it. But yeah, goal, fair play to anyone that's gambled on him. He's been one hell of a differential, but didn't really mean anything when West Ham then scored 3.
Yes, they did. They could have had more. They obviously they missed the pen.
Yeah. In the first minute as well. But I know Declan Rice takes the pens for West Ham, but he's just back from injury. But arguably, he probably hasn't been practicing them as much. And you've got Antonio and Lingard on the pitch. Why is Rice then stepping up to take it? And I mean, yeah, he strikes it well, but he hits the post. I just don't understand why he took the pen.
Do you think Antonio or Lingard will take the next one, or do you think he'll stay on?
I don't know. From what I've seen on Twitter and from West Ham fans, Rice seems to be the pen taker if he's on the pitch, but I just don't see him as a penalty taker.
Yeah, I'd rather have Antonio, if I'm honest.
Yeah, agreed. And obviously we've had Lingard take a couple whilst Rice has been out. Obviously he missed one and then scored the rebound. I think he scored the other. But yeah, just felt so strange. And obviously, instantly you thought, oh, is that West Ham in trouble? Given Spurs had lost, this was a huge opportunity for West Ham to almost cement that Europa League spot. And eventually they did so.
Yeah, they did. Another return for obviously Cresswell. First return since his return from injury. Same return too many times. Be interesting to see how he's priced next season as well.
Agreed.
Obviously,
Yeah.
very good season. He's been up there with Dallas as the best defender in the game.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Cresswell is a real underrated defender outside of like the FPL community, because we all know that he's such a good asset in FPL, but rarely do you hear him like spoken about in the media or like praised at all. And I think it's just a little bit harsh, and he goes a little bit under the radar. I mean, this season he's got 11 assists. Now that's brilliant from a fullback for West Ham.
Yeah, exactly. I think you've got to put him up there with the likes of Andy Robertson, but Andy Robertson's sort of very much on his own in terms of left backs that they talk about in the media.
Yeah. He's got more assists than Andy Robertson this season.
Exactly, but this time last season, you'd have been laughed out of town for saying he's near Robertson.
Yeah, in fact, he's got more assists than both Trent and Robertson, because both of them are on 8 assists.
There you go.
So, I don't understand it. And to be fair, like, his price is what put me off getting him in FPL recently. But at the same time, I say that I've been then punting on, Trent Alexander-Arnold. I guess it's the clean sheet potential for Liverpool that pushes you towards spending that little bit of extra money, whereas you don't often expect the clean sheet for West Ham. But, these attacking returns at the same time, that they're making the difference. And several times this season, he's come up with double figures. I could see a couple of 12-pointers, an 11, a 15-pointer. He's got it in him. So, yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on for next season. And I guess the other talking point with West Ham is finally that double up paid off of Antonio and Lingard. Obviously, goal for Antonio, assist for Lingard. And I think that made all the difference to a lot of ranks this week. Without that goal and assist, my week was in the shit. So to suddenly get, I think it was 13 points from that moment. They both ended up 3 and 2 for bonus points, goal and assist. I couldn't complain at all, because other than that, I think I was on like 30 something, and I was just crying.
No, if you're on the double up, that's ideal. That is fair play to you.
Absolutely right. And then obviously talking about FPL points, then how did you get on this week?
Okay, I started quite strongly, but on the Wednesday, I think I sort of fell back a bit. So I still got a green arrow, increased by, I think, just 10,000 places. Yeah, to 330k. Got 53.
Nice.
Willock and Bamford, the sort of top scorers with 11 and 12. Dallas, Lingard, and Bruno doing a little bit. But other than that, it was disappointing to obviously not have a keeper. And Luke Shaw was another big disappointment with what was a good fixture for him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I ended up on 49 points, and from where I was on Tuesday, I'll certainly take that. For me, the big disappointment was obviously Bamford first on my bench, even more so because I would have played him because I had Jota, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a punt. I'm going to play, going to make a transfer. I'll bring in Greenwood for Jota, plum fixture against Fulham. I fully expect Greenwood not to start in the Europa League final, and therefore I thought he'll start the next two. What I didn't expect is a 2-pointer from him, which then obviously forces me to put Bamford on the bench because I didn't really know who else to bench, and Bamford to then stick 2 fingers up and get 12 fucking points.
Where does that see you now? I imagine you've fallen back a bit.
I only fell back by 2k, which was
that's right.
Yeah, I can't complain. So I fell from 56k to 58k. So I don't think I'm going to beat my PB of 40k, which is disappointing because that was my my target for this season. And we'll obviously, after all of this, we'll probably do a full review pod about the seasons that we've had. But the start of the season is what's cost me this year. Looking ahead to 38. I don't know what I'm going to do.
You see, I've got two very kind of clear options for myself. I don't like Cody, so I kind of definitely want Cody out. Who obviously they play each other, Cody and Shaw,
They do, yeah.
and I can upgrade Shaw to Trent Alexander-Arnold with the money in the bank I got, or I can upgrade Cody to Robertson.
Nice.
And
Both good moves, to be fair.
edging towards Cody to Robertson just based on the fact I'd rather have Shaw playing against Wolves than Cody playing against Man United.
Question is though, does he even play? This
Who
is
Shaw?
this is what's playing on my mind, and I'm hoping, like I said, Ollie might give us something, but I don't know if he will. But
Well, yeah, if there was to be a really weak United team, then Wolves may even stand a chance of keeping a clean sheet.
well, exactly, yeah. And I mean, I've got Shaw, Bruno, and Greenwood, and at the moment, I'm benching Greenwood because I just don't know who to bench. I've got obviously Rafinha, Salah, Lingard, Bruno, Antonio, Bamford, and Kane is my front seven, plus Greenwood there. Do I then risk removing Bruno and bringing in a midfielder that, might play or could likely get some decent points, maybe punt on a Man City midfielder for the final game, like a Mahrez, because Man City are at home, they're in front of a crowd, they want to celebrate. The Champions League final isn't for at least another week, so I'm potentially expecting quite a strong Man City team against Everton. Um, I could look to do that, but again, same thing. I'll probably still bench Greenwood. And if Luke Shaw doesn't play, I've got Target against Chelsea and Godfrey against Man City. So it's tough, and it just makes me regret making that move even more so in 37, because I'd love to have 2 free transfers right now, but I don't want to take a hit for the final game week because it just doesn't feel worth it, particularly
No,
for a defender.
no, I'm not wanting to do it here either because I see hits as more of a kind of part of your longer term planning, and obviously it's the last week.
Exactly. So what I'm tempted to do um, is I may well remove either Target or Godfrey and bring in Nat Phillips, because I know that Nat Phillips will play. Um, it would then mean benching probably Luke Shaw, which is even more annoying because then if Luke Shaw does play, then could get a clean sheet because it's Wolves who don't score goals. So I'm just in such a dilemma, and I've got a few days to think about it, but it's pissing me off.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do there, really.
I know.
Obviously, there's a lot you could do is obviously with regards to premium assets, you don't have that fear of removing them because it's just a 1 week thing, a 1 week punt. That
Yeah,
Bruno Tamares move might actually work.
exactly. But in terms of captaincies, I think I write an article for Jumpers for Goalposts. So obviously, if you're not following them on Twitter, I think give the guys a follow. It's a brilliant little team that I'm involved in, and there's some fantastic articles. But I've started to do a captaincy article week on week, and I've done it for the last couple. But I do like my top pick. I picked at the post who could have got the top pick but didn't quite make it, and then a real like wild card pick as such. But for me, I think Salah will be the most highly owned captain this week. I'm going to be on him. I think you might be yourself.
Oh, will
Um, Very close though for me would be Trent. I genuinely think Alexander Arnold could go off in this one. Clean sheet, potential, assist potential. Still got a massive point to prove last game before the Euro call up. I think if you're gonna take a punt, Brent, and then if not, man in form, scored, got an assist against us. I think Patrick Bamford at home to West Brom could be another really good shout.
Yeah, I think I fancy Salah and Trent over Bamford, but yeah, I think any kind of strong Liverpool player would be a good captain choice for this.
Yeah.
Even Robertson. I mean, he's got
Yep.
2 assists in the last game. He
Exactly.
might get an assist again, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Could
And
well.
obviously, the clean sheet should be likely.
Yep. Nah, for sure. But it's going to be an interesting game week, and obviously next week we'll record following up, the final game week 38 of the season, and we might even have a little bit of fun, maybe looking back at our old predictions. And I know full well that some of my predictions were absolutely fucking shocking, so I can't wait to talk about those. Right,
Oh,
let's quickly jump onto the Sky game then, and obviously once again we're into the final week of Sky, and for some strange reason they're calling it game week 37 because obviously they mix their weeks and whatnot. But how did you get on this week?
Not too bad. 100 points exactly in my main team. But I've fallen down a bit with that. So I don't know if that's just people using transfers or just people having better captaincy choices. I picked Salah. I was between Salah and Kane. In the end, it made no difference whatsoever.
Neither even got shocked here, man. It was crazy.
Yeah. It's extra disappointing when you get just a cold-hearted 2-pointer. Yeah. But my third team got 135 points, which was relatively strong. It's got Højbjerg. I brought Cresswell in for this week. I brought in Antonio as well. That worked. So climbed up the ranks in our little third team league, which I'm happy about. I've got 3 transfers left for the end of the season. But yeah, it's just a bit of fun. It's nice to play around in that team.
Yeah,
I recommend for any new players.
Yeah, 100%. I wish I'd taken my third team a bit more seriously, because obviously there's cash leagues as well for third teams. Obviously we've got one. There are others out there, some big cash leagues as well. I know Tim runs a massive one that I'm involved with, $5 to enter, but there's possibility to win like £200-300. So it's there, and yeah, next season I think I might take the third team a little bit more seriously. But for my main team, I got 135 points, so I'm very happy with that. Can't really complain. I'm sitting at 40th, so yeah, I mean, to get barring an absolute disaster, top 50, top 100 should be pretty confirmed from this weekend. Given it's my first ever season, I certainly have to be very happy with that. And honestly, I don't think I'd be where I am without listening to obviously Planet FPL and the Hub guys, because the advice and just the chat that they produce on the pods, and even the Scout boys, the 3 main Sky pods out there, I think the content is exceptional from what they produce, and it just means beginners like us can come into the game and understand it like really early on. And they're obviously all very accommodating, happy to answer questions and whatnot. So I'm hoping next season I can push on a bit. But yeah, I'll very much take a top 100 finish this season.
No, you've smashed it. Well above both our expectations, I think.
100%, yeah, big time. In terms of captaincy, I think, to be fair, we've probably already covered it. I'm 100% going to be on Mo Salah for captaincy this weekend.
Same as below.
Yeah, and no transfers, so we can't even talk about that. But yeah, good luck for the Sky Game Week people, and those that are in mini leagues. If you're chasing or if you're trying to hold on to winning that mini league and a bit of cash, good luck, all the best. Right, we've got 2 questions in, and they're both Sky related, so we'll jump straight to it. Albeit I think they're both quite tricky to answer because I've not got screenshots of either of their teams. But first things first is a question from FPL Glasto. So in Sky, I still have 5 transfers. What would you do with them? Yes, I don't care about Sky.
That's outrageous. That's a lot of transfers. If you don't have Salah, obviously, or Trent or Robbo, bring him in.
Yeah, load up on Liverpool would be my my option there. Liverpool and Leeds, I think, are the 2 teams that you should be targeting with those 5 transfers, mate. And obviously the big thing with Sky is we get to see every single team lineup. So don't make any early transfers. Wait until 3 o'clock when you see the team sheets. And inevitably, we're all going to have 1 or 2 players that might be rested, missing out. The likes of Bruno, Gundogan picked up a knock. If people like that are sticking around our teams, you've got the moves there. And then if not, yeah, just take 5 punts. Go for it, mate. It's the last game, and you don't give a shit. So.
City news is obviously gold dust as well. So you could bring in Torres or whoever's playing, Mahrez, punt on those.
Exactly. Yeah, no, big time. Just just have some fun with it, mate. And hopefully next season you might be a bit more involved in Sky. And then final question in from FPL Thomas, again, Sky related, I believe. I have one transfer left. So who should I bring in and captain? Also, what's your favorite supermarket and why? Well, we'll answer the first one. Similar for me. If you're not on Salah or Trent already, I'd bring them in and captain one of them.
Yeah, agreed. It's got to be Mo.
Yeah, has to be. And if not, and if you want to have a bit of fun and you've not got, a Mane or a Robertson, go for them. Right. Just go for at least the triple up on Liverpool, I think. The second part of that question, mate. What's your favourite supermarket?
That's a tough one.
It is.
At the moment, we've been going to Lidl because there's a new Lidl that's opened up around the corner, and like they're quite good for their meats, their cheeses. They do like obviously like international weeks. They have like a Spanish week where they do like loads of chorizo and shit, and then obviously it's very cheap as well. You can't really go wrong with Lidl. So I think for the moment it's Lidl for me.
Yeah, I love a good Lidl. I mean, we're quite spoilt where we are. We've got a Lidl, a Tesco's, and a Morrison's all within 5 minutes of us. So I can't really complain, which is really weird given I live in like a Dorset town. But yeah, surrounded in supermarkets. I agree with you with Lidl. I think it's brilliant. Love Lidl. We try and go there, even the pastries and like the fresh fruit and veg, I think is brilliant at Lidl. And you can't beat the middle of Lidl, albeit you always end up spending more than you want because you see something that you don't need but looks good and you'll get it. And obviously they've got the aisles of once it's gone, it's gone. And usually you find some good bargains there. But we have found that at the Morrison's that's near us, if you go there between 7 and 7:30, they start to reduce so much. And I mean, like we look at Tesco's reductions and things are like 80p and 95p. You go to Morrison's, mate, in the fridge that they've got there. I managed to pick up 2 steaks for 17 pence. Like,
Wow, that's insane.
It's madness. They just literally slash their prices on our Morrison's from that time, and people just go to the aisle. So yeah, we once did 2 bags worth of shopping for about £1.60, which is fucking crazy, and it was all reduced stuff. So yeah, between those two, I'd definitely go for it. Right. Well, I think that's enough about supermarket chat to end the pod. Obviously, it's been an absolute pleasure. Basically talking you through the 37 game week so far, and like we said, we'll bring you one more FPL podcast next week, and then we'll look to start to do some specials over the summer, which I know me and James are going to have a conversation about. Might even get a couple of guests. There's some talks ongoing, so we'll have to go from there. And exciting times ahead, isn't it, mate?
Oh, it really is. Sad it's coming to a close, but it'd be nice to have a little break from FPL, won't it?
Yeah, exactly. We'll focus on watching the Euros and watching obviously the Copa America. And I'm going to play the Euro game as a bit of fun, and I'm going to get involved in the Euro fan team game as well because I can't turn down trying to win a little bit of money, and I'm winning a little bit of money in fan team for the official game this year. So just going to use some of that to enter the Euro game as well. But it's been a pleasure, folks, and we will see you probably early next week. So it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Thanks, guys.